hailing frequencies are open.
The Phoenix Files podcast starts now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Files podcast, back from an extended spring break. Crew of Starbase Phoenix here. I am Trent.
And I am Joel.
And I'm Moltrazahn.
Well, it is good to have you guys here again and back on the podcast. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about our good friend Moltrazahn here and his main character, Arkhan River, that crazy guy that stands in the back all the time.
Wait, we are? I wasn't prepared for this. Quick, run! Why did you lock the door?
So you couldn't get away.
Oh, you know how to charm me. Okay, I'll sit down again.
So, Molt, tell us a little bit about Arkhan and his mysteriousness. I think a lot of people don't really know much about him.
Well,
Did I even stump you? Do you not know much about him either?
no, it's just where to start from a out-of-character point of view or an in-character point of view, because there's an idea behind the concept of the character, and there's the character itself and their story. So I suppose I need to ask you which one of them you want me to start with.
Well, let's start with the idea behind him.
Okay. When it comes to characters in massive multiplayer online role-playing games, I started as a teenager playing these, and I very quickly discovered that being the child or the lover of a main character who is also married to another main character of a different species from a different timeline doesn't go very well with the role-playing community. Not saying I've ever did that, but I'm just exaggerating here. So for all the World of Warcraft fans, being the love child of, Illidan and Sargeras, that ain't really gonna fly in most cases. So you have to lower your expectations. In Star Trek terms, that would be, well, I am the son of Spock and Data.
Naturally.
Of course. Well, but what I'm trying to get at is that you want a character that is not unbelievable, somebody that could exist, be a quote-unquote regular person in the galaxy, but can still have their own uniqueness about them. So I tried to bring that into the character, and I suppose that sort of answers the first question.
Are we going to get a spoiler here on what species he is? Because I'm still curious about that.
I don't know. I suppose that would be a question for you. Do you want a spoiler for what quote-unquote species he is?
Oh, I'm so torn about spoilers. I don't know. Maybe tell us what you've revealed ICly, because a lot of that has been it hasn't necessarily been in large open forums. But I don't know. You reveal as much as you want. It's your character.
No, we can start with that. I think that's fair. Arkhan was found and raised by the Orion Syndicate, a massive criminal organization that have existed for, I think, as long as Star Trek has existed. We first saw them around in the first original Star Treks with, Spock and Kirk and all those. Back when everything was... Well, they all wear very tight shirts and pants.
That they do.
And Arkhan was, taken in and grown in this organization. And given that there's very little lore about the Orion Syndicate, and, well, in detail, there's not as much as we have in the Federation or the Klingon Empire and everything. However, he has existed in this organization for a while, until after the events of the Iconian War. Well, actually a little bit before that. around the time when when New Romulus was destroyed and the Romulan Republic tried to gather people. They had gotten news that some Romulans might have been captured by the Orion Syndicate, and they found a freighter convoy that was basically escorting these potential Romulan prisoners. They tried to negotiate with the captain, but that didn't go very well. However, Arkhan, who was at the time a the chief of security for those convoys, he contacted them and said, "You know what? I can help you with getting to your people. However, you have to do a thing for me as well. You have to give me and the people who helped me in this little coup sanctuary within the Romulan Republic." And they sort of went, okay. So he staged a coup, and successfully they freed the freighters with the prisoners. And furthermore, he gave them possible locations for several prisoner colonies where Romulans could be located. And in return, he and some of the other criminals that came with him, because, they all worked with the Orion Syndicate, was brought into the folds of the Romulan Republic. Furthermore, they were here for a while and offered whatever services they could. Arkhan, being a marine-ish tactical person, he obviously helped with any sort of land engagements and everything they could use him for. However, at some point, he decided that he needed more. There were still lots of former comrades of his that were criminals that were hiding from any retribution of the criminal underworld. And he knew that in order to protect these people and their families, he needed technology, he needed firepower, and he needed resources. And the Romulan Republic had these. However, he himself was a criminal. So he said that he would like to join them officially. However, before that can be done, he needed somebody to vouch for him. And given the limited resources they had, it was suggested that they are put in care into the 9th Talons, which is part, as you know, of the 5th Fleet. So that's how Arkhan got transferred, and depending on the judgment of the Admiralty within the 5th Fleet, that is where he can potentially get a ship, a crew, and good enough appeal from what would essentially be Starfleet to his supervisors in the Romulan Republic to get him approved for command of a ship. And that's when he can start getting his own people back and under his command.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about Arkhan's role in the fleet as it stands right now. Obviously, he's sort of waiting for that next step, but he's sort of filled a few roles, both officially and not, at least in my mind. So tell us a little bit about what he does and what sort of part he plays for the 5th.
Well, when joining the 5th, and actually even now, the 9th Republic Talon, which is part of the 5th Fleet, Romulan Republic delegation into the fleet. So everyone who plays a Romulan Republic character sort of joins that group, but are still affiliated with the 5th Fleet. It's just, a way to differentiate the two different factions playing on the same side. However, when he joined, there was absolutely nobody active there. And up to this day, there's not a lot of people playing Romulan Republic characters there.
This is true.
So he's never actually had a rank because there's nobody there with the supervision to give him a rank. So he has, since he's joined, always been rankless. He calls himself a tactical asset, which supposedly could make sense. He is a red shirt, if you put it in Starfleet terms. Very good at ground combat, doesn't have a ship, and he goes under the the chief of security, I suppose you could say, and in roleplay content follows with guard duties, guard schedules, security, those kind of things, without ever being very high placed in it, because he is unranked. He is an asset. He is put where he is needed. And that's not to say that they are just giving him all of the clean toilet jobs, but, And as for the roles that he's filled out, well, he's very verbal about using lethal force, which his past would explain. I think one of the best examples is that during a mission that they had on the colony, Jay Senna asked him if he ever did anything non-lethal to deal with his problems. And he said, no, and that's why I have so few problems.
For a character with not much emotion, or maybe not any emotion, he ends up with quite a lot of comedic lines.
Well, that's the other thing that I haven't really specified on is his, what should you say? I want to say attributes, but that sounds mildly sexual, so I'll try to find another word for it. His peculiarities? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that'd work.
Yeah. He doesn't express emotion. He never blinks. And to this day, he's only been seen eating one bowl of oatmeal.
And lots of sterilized water.
Yes.
That would be a favorite of his.
Mm-hmm. Even when people have made food, he just goes over, looks at it, and then he goes and replicates some water. He stares at people constantly because he doesn't blink. He is always to the point, which I believe also Jay Senna said, that he's very confrontational in that he doesn't wrap up what he thinks. He thinks that we should destroy things with extreme prejudice because then the problem is over. But Starfleet seems to have their own convoluted theory about how to conduct everything, and most of it is through talking. And he doesn't really entirely agree with this, but he understands he's under their jurisdiction, so where he expresses himself, he still follows orders and goes with it.
I feel like he and Jal have had some pretty good philosophical conversations about their different views.
Indeed. Jal took a particular interest in Arkhan after... Well, it was basically an out-of-character event that led to an in-character happening where he broke into a cell where Mirror Trent was, held him at gunpoint, and had another person just mind meld forcibly with him. Because, well, he probably knows something. We need to know what. In character, of course, that didn't go very well, but it's still it's created a lot of role play. In particular, that Jal started asking questions about him, and through that, they've had lots of interesting little, as you said it yourself, philosophical conversations and, just discussions, both about her and him.
I want to know what's up with his eyes.
I was going to ask that, actually. Yeah.
Zhal's been wanting to ask that, but she's been trying not to cry too much. But every time we roleplay, you mention that his eyes have no irises, and that it's just this very intense stare, but it's hard to stare back because you don't know quite where to look at his eyes.
Well, indeed. He has no irises in his eyes. They are very blank, not pale, but more like reflective. He never blinks, and yet somehow is able to keep staring at you without ever getting dry eyes.
Magical powers of Arkhan.
It's eye drops. That's his secret. So where do you want to see Arkhan end up? What's like your ultimate goal with him, or do you have a goal?
Well, obviously there's a goal for any character, something that we'd like to see, but I see that more as a guideline. You want the character to try to progress towards this, but it's not certain that they're ever going to. Obviously, in Arkhan's mind, he would like to have access to Romulan technology, Romulan ships, cloaking technology, which is, by the way, the best way to hide people that want to stay hidden. And they also have impressive technology that is very lethal in the right hands or in the right combination, while still being able to work within the confines of the Federation, the Fifth Fleet, and the Romulan Republic, because that means you still have people at your back if things go, well, south. He wants to make himself able to have a large enough ship to support all of his former criminal underworld people that wants to get out. Because as he expressed to Jal, he has been part of the Orion Syndicate for over 100 years.
Oh,
Got some
I didn't
history
realize
there.
that.
I actually think it was like more 150, which sounds like a lot when we sit here and discuss it, but in the context of Star Trek, where Romulans can be, well, I don't know, as old as a tree, it's not that impressive, but still, compared to the human lifespan, it's quite a bit.
And we know very little about Arkhan's background, which is interesting. A good source of continued questioning.
Mm-hmm. The way I've tried to explain that, why there is no, well, if you've been over 150 years in a criminal organization, why aren't you a goddamn mob boss? And the way I tried to explain that was that he is not an Orion. He is an alien. He's a weird-looking alien too, but his strengths are primarily in his tactical way of doing things. He has no emotional guilt for killing someone. If they're in the way, then it's a tactical loss, but it's nothing else. It's a tactical thing. It's a tactical decision. There is no emotions put into it. So he's a very good grunt to have with you, because if you as a crime boss say, "Why you go kill Donnie," then he'll go kill Donnie. And I also tried to imagine that the Orion Syndicate also have this eternal internal struggle, where mob bosses will come and go, they'll stab each other in the back they themselves to get higher. And when that happens, whoever has served under them, well, they either get exterminated or they get moved somewhere else, because it is still a criminal organization that works under a ruler, and they still need to function. So assets get moved around. And his primary function is that of a soldier. However, after the whole, just almost destruction of the galaxy through the lovely little things that we all know and won't say the name of too loudly, Iconians. Lots of resources got shoveled around in every organization. And I figured that Arkhan, given his history with them, could get bumped up to chief of security, because, millions of people died during the whole purging being done by the Iconians. Mm-hmm. And that is where he was found, as I explained earlier, by the Romulan Republic. So he has history, and he has lots of criminal contacts, but it has always been as what he observes and less as the delegator that had been spoken to. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I really like Arkhan as a character, because he has so much mystery and depth to him that, and I feel like that stare can make anybody wither. Such a withering glare.
He really does have a very inventive background, though, and I do like how you've woven in the Orion Syndicate, because we don't talk about them a lot.
Not a lot of people do, and that's because that they primarily just serve a few episodes in most Star Trek, just because you need a bad guy that's not really that defined, but always fits the niche. And the mob is always a good go-to.
Well,
just-
go ahead.
I just wanted to pay homage to the fact that Arkhan has had quite a lot of bad luck with his arm.
He has.
And I feel like we need to send him a little sympathy card about it or something.
Well, his arm is an entirely different thing, because when he came to the fleet, he was wearing a exoskeleton metal brace on it. And that stems from that, well, he doesn't have a lot of emotion, both physical and psychological. However, during a dealing he was part of, while he was still in the Orion Syndicate, he and his group was protecting a Ferengi who worked for the Syndicate, who had to do dealings with another Ferengi who worked outside of the Syndicate. And apparently they didn't agree on the business dealings, so the very big, scaly enforcer of the other Ferengi started breaking Arkhan's arm, as is to push his point. And he kept breaking it while they were discussing till they reached a conclusion. Because, Ferengi, they don't really care about much but money. And Arkhan was sort of just lying there, and you could hear the snapping sounds.
Oh my goodness.
Also, given that healthcare is not really a thing within the criminal underworld.
Details,
Yeah, Arkhan had to get creative with what he could do. So he's had lots of approved medical surgeries on the arm. And when he came to the fleet, it was basically a meshwork of steel, carbon fiber, wires, exoskeleton bonding, and poor reconstructions of the bone. It was a mesh, really. And the moment that he actually approached our dear Dr. Carver, he was like, what the hell? However, given that healthcare is free within the Starfleet, they came to a conclusion that this arm's gotta go, man. It's bad. Your bone is infected. The muscle is degenerating. The only way you can actually use it is through your exoskeleton frame. You just need a prosthetic. There's nothing else that I can do. Well, he did give another option, but it wasn't really a good one. So Arkhan got his arm removed and replaced with a purely cybernetic arm, which Valerian seemed to have huge joys with. She mentioned wanting to do mods for it and everything, which I've never really gotten around to, but it's something that I do want to pick up on, which is actually fantastic, because now Valerian and dear Dr. Carver seems to be an item, so that's just perfect.
So convenient.
I know. It's almost like somebody planned it all along.
Well, as we go to break, I had an idea. We should put together an adult version of the Phoenix Files, so we can talk about Arkhan's attributes. I think that's a thing that needs to happen.
That's so bad.
Welcome to the Phoenix Files 18 plus. Get your faces ready, because we're going to Warp 11.
And on that note, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk more about our upcoming summer here in the 5th Special Operations Division on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.
My evil way.
It's now time for our question of the week segment. We wanted to know, what would you consider your character's best moment?
So X has chimed in with a couple of potential moments for Kias. Either that epic scene where he jumped on a grenade, which I think shocked everybody, and left him in sickbay for quite a while, but quite the heroic move. Or, and I personally quite like this one, when Kias made a plushie of himself and gave it to Rorik's daughter. That's just a...
I mentioned to X that we need to sell Kias plushies on our
Oh my
website. I
goodness,
think
we
that's
would
a
make
thing.
so much money.
Cuddle with Kias.
Welcome to this segment of Cuddle with Kias. I have my Plushies right here. Do you have yours? If not, buy it on the Phoenix File website. Now, and now with grenade splinters. Comes with optional chest wound.
Deluxe version.
Yes. And then we should have it should have like a little, if you press it, there's like, ow, I did this for you.
Perfect.
Remember me.
Perfect.
Abyssix say, through my little amounts of character moments, I have to say that Melisandre's interaction with Mr. Adahi would qualify as the best moment. A second best would be when Takos killed the Borg aboard the USS Hermes by venting atmosphere in the decks that had Borg signatures on it, coordinating security teams alongside of that.
You know, as fun as it is to kill Borg, that's always a best moment for anybody. I must say I really enjoy playing Melisandre, so anybody that interacts with Melisandre and says it's their best moment, I think that's awesome.
Giving out her creepy predictions.
She's so creepy. I want to see Melisandre act with Arkhan. I think that would be interesting.
Arkhan and her have yet to meet, though I do have a question about that. If you vent Borg into space, are they really dead?
Touche.
Ooh, Borg are scary.
Borg are terrifying.
But Takos did do that was quite the intense scene. Dare I say that Takos was a bit of a boss in it.
Well, next week's podcast question, we want to know what actor would play your character in a 5th Special Operations Division movie. To give us your answers, send me a private message on Shifter or Discord, and we'll read those answers on next week's podcast. For now, though, we'll be right back to the Phoenix Files. Oh, hey, Molt.
Hey there. Trent.
What are you doing with that phaser?
Well, this? Well, you see, give me all your money. This is a stick-up.
What do you need my money for?
Well, I have to pay the bills somehow. If I don't get enough money, then we could lose features on the 5th Special Operations Division's website.
Or I could just donate, you know. There's a handy feature on the sidebar that lets you donate as many months as you want to our Epic plan.
Wait, yeah. Wait, you can?
Mm-hmm. You can donate as little as 1 month or up to a full year if you wanted. It gives us access to all kinds of great features from Shifter.
Well, fine then. You admirals take all the fun out of everything.
Donate today and keep access to an expanded media gallery, group access, no ads, expanded forum space, and more. Help keep our epic plan on Shifter alive.
Can I have my phaser back?
No.
Come on, it's not even real. It's just a prop. Ow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Phoenix Files podcast. Trent here with Jal and Moltrazahn, and as we warp our way into summer, I had to say that, I'm sorry, I know that's very cliche. there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon for the fleet. Of course, I'm sure we'll have a new RP arc that will have everybody on the edge of their seats. But also, we're planning on doing some more exciting summer stuff as well, including a new summer festival. We did one back in we did a winter one back during Q's Winter Wonderland, and we're planning to do one for the summer as well. So on Ryza, yes. So some exciting stuff. Of course, Victory is Life is coming in June. So yeah, how do you guys feel about the upcoming summer?
Summer events are good, and usually, given people have this little thing called vacation or time off, summer events can be massive in scope. In other games I've played during summer, lots of people around for some reason, because if there's sun outside, it's not snowy, it's not cold, yet we're staying inside. Which is exactly how I want. Yeah, exactly. Which is exactly how I want to spend my free time.
I'm really excited to have Ryza again. I think I've mentioned this before, but I really want us to do like some sort of fleet camping trip. And we can just say it doesn't have to be Ryza. We can say it's another planet, but Ryza would be a great map for it, and I think that would be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
I want to see Arkhan trying to roast some marshmallows.
I really wish they still had nighttime Ryza, because that.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I bring it up every time we talk about Ryza because it drives me nuts.
You've gotten me on board. Now it drives me nuts too. Nighttime was really beautiful.
But so let's talk a little bit about this potential summer event. It's an OOC event. Like, for those that weren't at our winter festival, we did a lot of games, trivia, things like that. We're gonna do some power board races and all of that kind of thing. So, yeah, how do you guys feel about those kinds of OOC events? Are you excited for our summer festival?
Oh, they're great.
I think it's going to be fun. Usually our official festivals are just that. They're full of fun. Lots of people show up, and, everything from contests to just having a good time, and there's no Borg or weird tentacle monsters around for us to focus on. So it's just the fleet having fleet fun.
I feel like it's a very good way to bring everyone together too, because it is hard to do. We don't do a lot of OOC events, and it's fun. And we'll have to do it again where we end up filling up our own whole instance.
Yeah, that was fun.
Random person running by who's like, "What the hell are all these people doing standing in a circle over here?"
So, I will say, so full disclaimer here, we don't have any solid plans for an RP arc for the summer yet, but just talking about RP and the potential there, what are some initial thoughts that you guys have or things you might like to see in some summer RP?
Well, I do think we should find a sneaky way to get some Gamma Quadrant stuff in there. Not necessarily us going to the Gamma Quadrant, because that's like, on the other side of the galaxy, which is sort of inconvenient.
But bring in some of that Victory is Life stuff.
Yeah, we can have some, I don't know, like some traders or something come out, or maybe a little, a little squadron dispatched out. Who knows? We can find a way. We're creative people.
That we are. And in general, I think as long as the fleet does something together, you could throw in an event that's about, I don't know. Well, granted, when Victory is Life is coming out, it's gonna be a lot of focus on the whole new quadrant, on being able to play as a Jem'Hadar, and we can all be Space Marines, and everything's gonna be fun, and glory to the Emperor. And oh yeah, he's gonna butt head with so many of those guys. Like, genetically bred thing. Yeah, you think you're superior. I will destroy you. Oh, what's that? You want a little, what is it? Ketrasil White? Oh, well, here boy, out the airlock.
Oh, goodness.
But no, up until the point we can do a little bit of, I suppose, initiation. At the point where we decide that the things that happened during that last episode where we actually saw the Dominion come to our sector and save the day for once, till the point where we decide this is now canon, we can do quote-unquote whatever, but when we decide, then we can start doing all sorts of teaser things.
Definitely. I'm really excited because I think we have the potential to really get a good, solid, in-depth RP arc going through the summer. I think it will be quite fun. Also, something a lot of people may not know. So one of the organizations in STO that we are a member of is the IFAF. We used to be in their Armada. It is there in August. They will be celebrating their 7th anniversary in game, and so we're gonna have some exciting stuff in store for that as well. So just a heads up to everybody. We'll be announcing that at a later date, but yeah, I think that is all going to be a lot of fun.
Basically, we're planning a lot of parties, so get ready.
A lot of parties, yes. Get in your party
Get your Hawaiian
mood.
shirts out.
Buy those bathing suits.
Oh my.
Arkhan can show off his attributes to everybody.
I feel like there's some sort of theme going on now. I'm not sure if I appreciate that I started it, but here we are.
Hey, we've got to get you back at some point.
This is true.
In any event, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up for the summer, and I think you guys will all be very pleased.
Well, you know me. I enjoy being pleased by you.
Oh no!
Oh wow! And on that note, yeah, I think that's a good good note to end on for this podcast. Thanks as always to Jal and Moltrazahn for being here and putting up with each other's shenanigans.
Always a
We love
pleasure.
each other's shenanigans.
We do. Our shenanigans are the best shenanigans.
They
They
really
are.
are. They really are. And with that, thank you guys for listening. And 3 to beam up.